have discussed about JDBC, J and DI, and about connection pool, connection lifecycle, and the purge policy. Yeah. So have we spoken about these parameters, Sandeep? No, right?
No,
No,
actually,
no. So we stopped till here.
yes.
Purge configuration. Okay. So before going further with the connection pool parameter, understanding the connection pooling and the important parameters that helps in managing and controlling the database connections, let us have a practical session um, to create a data source. So here is my Oracle DB, which is 19C. And yes, key considerations. Sorry. Yeah. So key considerations based on the backend version. I'm going to take a new 19. Okay. Um, yeah. So we need to consider few things. The prerequisite checklist. Number one, WAS version compatibility with DB version and SDK compatibility with DB, same DB version, because we know the JDBC libraries, which are vendor based, like MySQL or Oracle or NoSQL or PostgreSQL, whatever it is in the backend, DB2, IBM's DB2. So there is a compatibility. The important thing to check is compatibility between the versions. SDK, like how Oracle JDK supports, uh, provides with different versions of Oracle JDBC drivers for various um, database versions. So let us see here. OJDBC drivers. If you check this drivers, Oracle database driver, JDBC driver. So for different versions, 23 is the AI. So if you're creating a data source for 23 version of Oracle database, you need to go for OJDBC 17 or 11. And again, it depends on the requirement, whatever you have installed. So you should be working on, for example, if it is WebLogic, you would install Oracle JDK. So that JDK should be minimum of 11 JDK. 1.8 is not supported for OJDBC 11. And OJDBC 8 is, it supports JDK 8 with 4.2 JDBC version. And the maximum is JDK 11. So whenever you are creating a data source for backend Oracle database, you need to cross-check this one. And also you need to check the um, IBM SDK's compatibility with the vendor-specific database for JDBC drivers. So there may be sometimes when you download and install WebSphere package, there may be some drivers missing. For example, OJDBC 8 is required to integrate with with Oracle 19C, OJDBC 8. It supports JDK 11, 8, 11, 17, 19, and 21, right? So 8.5 version, it comes with default JDK, which is 1.6. which is 1.6. So here you can check either you upgrade SDK to 8 on WAS 8.5 package, or you go for 9.0.5 WebSphere, which supports JDK, which is IBM SDK 8. So if you're using the old drivers, again, it is not going to connect with your database. The data source will not connect with the database. And sometimes, by default, these jar files are not included in the package. So at that time, we need to download it and place it in a secured location or under libraries. So the normal location or the path is here app server under this lib. So these are the jar files. You see here OJDBC 8.jar. So this one on July 30th, I have placed it here because it was not included in this package. So first, let us uh, start the server and check profiles, DMGR, bin, and we'll start app server profiles, system, bin, start node. Okay, so once the node is started, we can um, start the server from the admin console. So let me open Firefox here. Okay, as a root, it is not supported. Okay, our node is also started. Let us verify. Yes, I can here. So node, custom node is started, which has its configuration under DMGR cell, which is in this location. So this is how we check. And this is runtime. And what else to check? You can also see the memory allocated and which Java it is using, right? So this is how you can verify. This is a process ID, and this is DMGR, DMGR node, DMGR cell, master configuration, and which JDK it is using. So in real time, sometimes you may have multiple servers on multiple nodes connected remotely, and few servers may require JDK 1.7, and few servers may require JDK 1.8 because of the deployment dependency, right? So at the time, you can use different JDK versions for different profiles. Yeah, that we will discuss later, but you can verify always like which version of Java is used for a particular profile or for a particular service. So both the servers are started, and So we are using 9 version of WebSphere to connect with JDBC, the database 19C, because we have 19C database installed here. So let us connect. So this is my database on 128 server. And Oracle. Okay, it is up and running, I think. So listener status. Yeah, yeah. So Oracle DB and J.O.T PDB both are up and running. And under, so how we create a data source is actually, it is a resource. So under resources, you will see JMS, JDBC, resource adapters, and cache instances, mail server, and different kinds of resources that can be created. Under JDBC, there are two things. One is JDBC provider, and the other one is data sources. So click on the data source, and there will be scope. So under this scope, if you click on the drop down, you will see different levels. One is, so whatever the components are present in this particular core group. So we'll discuss about core group and node group later. So as till now, we have discussed about cell, node, and master configuration. So there is another concept called cell, core group and node group that is part of high availability. We'll talk about it when we get to high availability and clustering, failover, and scaling up horizontal and vertical. So at that time, we'll discuss about core groups and node groups, which is very important concept in terms of understanding how high availability works in WebSphere. So here, you may have multiple nodes. So as of now, we have only one node, custom node 1. So if you have created one or more servers in this node and you have deployed applications that require Oracle 19C database connectivity, then you can select the scope as custom one node, which is node scope, right? Or if there is a particular server on the same node on which one application requires Oracle 19C database connection, then you can select a particular server. If there are multiple servers, and let us say this server, custom server 1 needs database connectivity with Oracle 19C, and there is custom server 2 on the same node that requires MySQL database connectivity. So for custom server 1, we'll select the scope to create Oracle data source. And to create MySQL data source, you can select custom server 2. So this is the scope: server scope, node scope, and cell scope. So if you have all the servers within multiple nodes and all the nodes are in this DMGR cell, and all the applications that you have deployed on your environment are using only a single database, but single vendor specific database, Oracle, but they may connect with different service names, right? So you can select the scope as DMGR and create multiple data sources for different applications. Or you can either point to a specific server for a specific service name, right? So this is about scope. So if you select DMGR cell, all the nodes present in this DMGR and all the servers present in each node will inherit the resources which are mapped or defined at DMGR scope, right? So this is a hierarchy. So you can see the hierarchy here. As just now we have seen, node, it inherits the properties and global level settings or and also the resources from the master configuration. And you can also define, you have an option to define at the node level or the server level, right? To go with the requirement. So that is scope here. And I have created an Oracle data source with a JNDI name, JDBC Oracle DS, and the scope is cell level. And the provider, who is this Derby is the default JDBC provider that comes with the WAS package. So it is not supported in the production. It stores the local uh, data that is used by WAS and Oracle JDBC driver, and it is a new JDBC. So description. So click on this. You can see all the parameters and this. This is the JNDI name, data store helper class name, and security settings. So the security uses JAAS, JAAS. What is JAAS? Java Authentication and Authorization Service. So it is an API. It is an API that facilitates with the storage of credentials for any resources you want to create. And this will be mapped with your resource. And as once you check the, let us continue, complete this one, SDK compatibility. Um, to create a data source, you need JNDI name. You need to create JDBC provider and JAAS to store the DB credentials. So these are the prerequisites. And the basic things, right? The test the connectivity between app server and DB server, and checking
Yes,
if the telnetting and all those things you do by before you start creating the data source. So let us first check this one. So this is the URL, database URL. I will decode this, how to define. And here are the connection pool parameters. And this is a JAAS, J2C authentication. Click on this. So this is a DMGR node, Oracle DB, and it stores the username and password of your data source, Oracle data source. And this data source has its own connection pool with all these parameters. You can see the purge policy we have discussed. It is entire pool and failing connections only. And you can also do advanced connection pool properties, and you can add custom pool properties as well. That is uh, required. And I mean, the connection pool custom properties, this will be given to you by either a developer or DBA team based on the application needs. So, uh, yeah,
And
so
these
click on,
connection pool properties also will give by, I mean, database team or developing team only, right?
yes, yes. Sometimes connection pool parameters, it happens a lot. Sometimes, you know, the settings, it will be tested by the developers and they will give you the connection pool parameters. For example, if there is a connection leak or inactive timeout, those, if they are not tuned properly, it may cause issues. So those will be tested in the test environment. And the DB team or application team may also suggest you or recommend you to define the connection pool parameters based upon the database and application requirements. So connection pool parameters, it is something, uh, in order to tune it, you need to consider the threads, you need to consider the heap, you need to consider the backend database uh, performance, and you also need to consider the application requirement load as well. So all these things, the performance tuning itself, yeah, that is why, recently I had a class taken, I mean, the course taken for few members who required only performance tuning L3 level. So it starts with thread pools, understanding heap memory and garbage collection, understanding the source, how to allocate, and JNDI, JDBC data source, connection pool parameters, gain connection pool parameters with a real-time scenario, dynamic caching, session management, JDBC configuration, and heap dump analysis, GC policies with heap dump, heap resizing, thread-related issues, and dump analysis. And so the thing is, all these contribute in performance tuning. So the end-to-end, the threads, each request is allocated with a thread. So let us say per hour, 1,000 requests are hitting the server. How many connections do you define in the JDBC data source? So that, the thread pool, what is the thread pool size? Again, when you talk about thread pool in WebSphere, there are different levels of threads. Web container threads, ORB thread pool, and background jobs. So there are different threads. So each thread pool have a different size based on the application requirement. So these all things will be determined in the performance testing. So based on those inputs, you will determine for 1 hour, if 1,000 requests is the load on your server or on your application, out of those 1,000 requests, how many requests need a data source, a connection from the data source? Let us say 500. So you will create maximum connection pool size as 500. And rest of the 500 are, they does not require the connection either, or else you can go with the ideal uh, formula. It is something like 1.5 uh, database connections for each request. So you will go with 1,250 database connections uh, for 1,000 requests, something like that. So these all things, needs to be considered. And yes, you can tune accordingly. It is not a one-time fix. As you know, all the performance related issues, you will tune the parameters, you will observe the server behavior, and again, you will tune the parameters because it entirely depends upon the load in real time in live environments, right? So sometimes it goes like unpredictable unless you have a monitoring tool um, to collect the metrics. It is going to be manually. If you want to monitor and check the behavior, it is going to be somewhat complex, right? So these are all are the performance metrics that needs to be considered when tuning the connection pool parameters, the connection timeout, minimum connections, maximum connections, read time, unused connections, aged timeout. And when you go to advanced connection pool properties, there are multiple uh, parameters, stuck threshold, stuck time. So these all things, there are multiple things. We'll discuss slowly one by one, but let us test the data source that I have created already because sometimes maybe with my VMware network connectivity, sometimes it may not connect. Recently, again, I had a problem with VMware. Um, I could not SSH the server, these servers. So again, I uninstalled and installed the VMware. So that is why I have created to show you the live connection. Uh, I have created the data source, and this is the URL connection string, right? My Oracle database is on this server, and it is the listen port, which is my service name. And if you want to decode, like JDBC is a protocol, colon, Oracle is a sub protocol, colon, um, this is driver type. So, there are 4 types of Oracle JDBC drivers. Out of all these, we use thing type, which is type 4. Type 4, type 4 JDBC driver is called thin client. So this one is very simple, in old school applications, the legacy applications. Um, like if you go way back, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the SQL queries were also written by the developers, and they inject the SQL queries within the code, and the data source properties and the connection string, database connection creation, and connection closure, everything was incorporated into the application code itself. So that was very hectic and complex. So now it is categorized. We can define as a middleware admin, we can create the data source and we can tune the parameters, connection pool parameters, and we can create the data source for any type of database in the backend from different vendor. So we are making the developers work easy, and that is achieved with the help of type 4 JDBC driver, which is thin client. So this defines the driver type and colon @ // this is db host and db port / service name. And yeah, there is one more thing, like for older databases, um, SID was used. For if you are using SID, it is not slash, it is going to be colon. You will mention the SID. So this was like deprecated, mostly not used before like 11G and earlier versions, the SID was used. And after 12C and later versions, service name was used. And here, this is the difference. Like you instead of colon, you'll give slash. Sometimes, for MySQL also, depending on the type of the version, you will mention either colon or slash. In WebLogic, I have done this based on the database version and vendor. So this is the connection string or DB URL. And the format, protocol, JDBC, subprotocol, Oracle, driver type, JDBC driver type, PIN, which is type 4, and these all things we know. So yeah, you can also directly monitor if there is a connection available or not. Just select and test connection. The test connection operation for data source Oracle DS on server DMGR at this node was successful. So to this J.O.T PDB, our server is connecting directly. So there is no connectivity issue. So now let us create a data source. All right. So we have seen that it works.